Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to my channel. I go by Pay Me in Paella, same username on all social media platforms. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Malaysia, and more specifically, the safety levels in Malaysia. Now, if you've seen my previous videos on Malaysia, you know I am a big enthusiast for them. I say positive things. But if you've seen my other videos, you also know that I can give my honest opinion on countries, whether it's biased or unbiased, right? So I'm going to be talking about, is Malaysia safe, right? And after about 5 minutes of intensive research on Google and YouTube, I've come to the conclusion. But before I share that conclusion with you, I want to share my experience. So, as you know, I was in Malaysia for 2 days. I was in Kuala Lumpur. Some people refer to that as the New York of Malaysia. It's very big, a lot of high rises, heavy population, diverse, etc. I will say, as far as my treatment, there was never a moment where I felt unsafe. Even at nighttime when I was walking by myself, recording out loud, I never heard anything violent happen around me, never seen anything. There's other people, there's families. You see families walk around at night, which I feel like that sometimes is not as common here in the States. Now, in this video, you'll actually see that this is actually Singapore. I'm going to be straightforward with you. I actually ran out of footage when it came to Malaysia. And that's why I am now showing some Singapore overlay here. In this specific part of the video, I am taking it back to Malaysia. I was there around Diwali, so happy Diwali to all the people who celebrate that. So when it comes to now that I talked about my experience, I want to talk about what is actually out there and what is danger, right? I want to say, according to Google, it appears that Malaysia is more safe than the United States. And this is what I mean by this. In the United States, we have more people deleting each other. I got to keep it YouTube friendly. Certain words I can't say, keep it PG-13. People taking each other's life, right? There's higher rates of that in the States, number-wise and percentage-wise, than in Malaysia. There are crimes in Malaysia, but typically they're not violent crimes. So from my research, it looks like there's certain things that happen in certain parts of Malaysia, more specifically the bigger cities. It looks like there's forms of petty theft, so like pickpocketing, bag-snatching, etc. This is all the information I found on the internet. Once again, this is not me bashing Malaysia or disrespecting Malaysia. I'm just going by what I see on the internet. So I want to talk about different categories: the crime, the natural hazards, health, etc. So you do have to be careful as far as smaller crimes. You don't want to leave things around for someone to take, but also you want to watch out for scams. So this is not something that's specific to Malaysia. I find this in every country, honestly, but typically the countries you go to where they know their currency may not be as strong as your country's currency, the higher chances there are of scams. So what I mean by that is, for example, I was in Turkey for 4 months, right? They know I'm American. They can see the way I dress, I talk, I carry myself, etc. Off the rip, they know I'm American. Plus, I obviously don't have the phenotype to look like them. So they're constantly running scams on me, trying to get more money, etc. This can happen in Malaysia as well, according to the information I read online. But this doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get kidnapped, taken advantage of physically. In fact, I looked at some Reddit posts they were talking about, it's so dangerous that you got to worry about losing weight. It's a joke because it's so safe. The biggest thing you may have to worry about, especially if you're in the tourist area, is gaining so much weight because the food's so good. So I want to skip to the next section now. We talked about the crime in that sense. I want to also talk about the crime when it comes to traffic. So when it comes to violent traffic accidents, there's actually not that many in Malaysia. You'll be surprised in that aspect as well. I know there may be certain stereotypes floating around about certain groups and their driving abilities, but from what I found out, it's good. Now, someone left in my comment section a few videos back about flooding in Malaysia when I said you should move to Malaysia. And it appears that Malaysia may have an issue with flooding. Once again, I got to give a disclaimer because I already know there's going to be someone saying, why do you say this? This is all research I found. If you think this is incorrect, Tell Google what's going on. Why are you writing all this stuff? Tell Reddit what's going on. But anyways, Malaysia can experience heavy rainfall, particularly during the monsoon season, typically from May to September, specifically on the west coast, and October to March on the east coast. Now, when I was in Malaysia, it rained, but thankfully it didn't ruin my time because it rained, I think, like 5 minutes or something, and then it was gone. But so there's people in the comment section talking about, hey, be careful during monsoon season. You got to worry about flooding, etc. So keep that in mind. Next, I want to talk about Malaysia's rainforest and national parks, right? There is a lot of wildlife here in Malaysia. You know, it's very tropical, a lot of green. It looks nice, right? In the wild parks or in the wildlife, you have to be careful because they do have certain snakes and other mammals that are considered very large and or venomous. So if they attack you, it could potentially be fatal. So you want to be careful when you're in those wildlife areas, right? Another thing that you have to worry about is, from what I've been told, there may be certain tension with certain groups. So as a tourist, this may not impact you as much, especially if it's clear that you're from like the UK, USA, Canada, Australia, etc. But if you're someone who's physically could appear that you're from one of these specific groups that I'm referring to, then there may be some slight tension in that area from what I've been told. Now, going back to the comment sections of my previous videos of Malaysia, you'll see some of the back and forth, unfortunately, that has happened with certain groups and their belief system. But I would say, once again, I want to reiterate the point that there is no strong sense of violence when it comes to Malaysia. If you're in the States, if you're in the UK, we have way more violent crime. In fact, I would actually challenge you to go to Malaysia yourself and personally experience this. Oftentimes, people come to Asia and they want to go to Japan and Thailand. Vietnam is now emerging, I'd say, as a more a hotspot, you could say. But so many times people overlook Malaysia. It's good to keep it a secret, I guess, in certain senses. But I would say go there, check it out, stay for like a week. Kuala Lumpur, Penang, whatever you prefer. And you'll be shocked. Go talk to the locals. They'll tell you, like, hey, there's not that much going on. You know, we may say things amongst each other, but for the most part, you'll be safe. Right? Now, I know you're thinking, Malaysia, terrorism, what about this? What about this? In one of my, if you've seen one of my previous videos, I talked about when I lived in California, there was a lady, an older lady I lived with. She was Chinese, but she was born in Malaysia. And she was vital in putting the bug in my ear to stay away from Malaysia. Because I asked her about her country. Like, you know, I like to travel. So I'm asking her, how's my life in Malaysia, blah, blah, blah. She said, oh, I moved here for a reason. Don't go to Malaysia. And I remember asking her like 2-3 times, are you sure I can't go? And she's like, no, it's not safe. It's not safe. So I believe, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, especially my Malaysian viewers. I've noticed I've gotten a lot of viewers from Malaysia, so I'd love to know your input section in the comment section. But I believe decades ago, because this lady was older, she was in her like 60s, that Malaysia potentially could have been more dangerous. But as of now, they are very modern and safe, and there's not too much to worry about. I would even go as far to say that even as a female solo traveler, you can feel comfortable in Malaysia. I looked at my demographics, and about a quarter of my viewers are females. And I want to let you know, you do not have to worry as long as you're in the safe tourist parts of Malaysia. Now, if it comes to the small rural cities, I don't know what's going on there. But Penang, Georgetown, Kuala Lumpur, these cities are considered very safe. I want to thank everyone's support lately. And I can't wait to go back to Malaysia in 2025. If you have recommendations for me in Malaysia, leave it in the comment section. Peace.